All right, everyone, welcome back. Up next, we have Luigi's Mansion, any percent all doors unlocked by Saria. Saria, take it away.
Luigi's Mansion, all doors unlocked, and I'm joined here by my co-commentator, Red.
Hello.
So yeah, if I'm good to start, I can do a countdown, and we can get this show on the road. Alright, I'm gonna do a countdown, so 3, 2, 1, go.
So welcome into Luigi's Mansion, all doors unlocked. So this is slightly different from the normal version of the game. This is a cheat code where you can basically go anywhere you want. So essentially, it's going to start with Saria going straight into Ballroom and unlocking the booze as soon as possible.
Yeah, the gameplay itself is basically the same as the normal game. It's the route is way different.
Yeah. So stuff like boo requirements, which like there are certain checks in the game, like you need 20 boos to get into Boolossus and 40 boos to get into King Boo. Those still exist, so you still have to run around and get in a certain amount of boos to keep going.
Yeah. This run starts off really quick, so there's not a lot of time to explain everything. Like, right there, you might not notice, but I just saved like 10 seconds to look if you want to explain that.
Yeah, so the Floating Rolinda is the first portrait ghost you do in the game, and they have a 10-second chance, or there's a 10-second time save where they show their heart early, which has a 50% chance of happening, and there's no way to manipulate it
Yeah, unfortunately,
at the
we have not
moment.
found any consistent manipulation.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go straight into boo release, and yeah, so now the boos are released. So basically, the entire thing of this speedrun is just minimizing movement between rooms and doing the quickest rooms possible.
Yeah, so one of the big differences in this category is obviously the fact that we don't need to grab any of the keys because the doors are all unlocked. So basically every key in the game we'll skip grabbing except for the area boss keys because they actually like change what you can and can't do in the mansion.
Oh yeah, so when you grab there's sequence breaking checks in this game to prevent sequence breaking, and the biggest thing that's used is if you don't have the area key pertaining to a certain area, the boos won't spawn in that area. So if you don't have Bogmire key, then the boos in area 3 won't spawn, for example.
That was
Um, but something that's weird about it is that it's more pertained to the floor. So like there are certain rooms that are area 3 but the boos will still spawn, like Bank Shot. So it doesn't work very well. But it is a thing that they put into the game. So you have to route with that in mind.
Yeah, so because of that, the first thing we're gonna do here after releasing the booze is go and get Bogmire key. Oh, that was unfortunate because we need 20 boos to fight Boolossus, and we could get Chauncey and get 20 boos that way, but that's way slower due to how the routing works.
Yeah, so you don't even have to Chauncey at all in this category. Actually.
Yeah, which is kind of nice because he has so many cutscenes tied with him. The route really,
Yeah, and a really hard.
the route really has a lot of room for, you know, there's a lot of room to route which boos you want to get and which ones you don't. Although there are a decent amount locked behind very long cutscenes, like the Area 4 attic boos, you have to do the blackout sequence, and for some of the boos you need Chauncey. So those boos are basically not really viable to get. So it does actually limit us a decent amount, but there's still a lot of room for the order we get all the boos we're gonna get here.
Yeah, so as Saria said, we're gonna go straight into Bogmire pretty much. We are gonna clear some rooms on the way so we can get the boos here later. If you did try and spawn these boos, they would just despawn instantly right
Yeah,
now.
well, that was...
Oh, that's unfortunate. Sorry, so you can actually vacuum that fried rice before the ghosts actually get to it. And yes, that is fried rice. Don't ask why, it just is.
Yeah, like I accidentally got off the lock-on on it, so I
Another thing you noticed he did there is, if you hold out, there are certain ghosts that require certain elements. That's why we grabbed fire there. And every time you use the element to get rid of their, I guess, shield, it does an animation, and you can actually skip that while they're in an animation. So like the scare that they spawn is the most common place to do that, which is what he just did there.
oh no, okay. Oh, I'm not gonna get the test cutscene skip, I don't think. No, unfortunately I'm not. So you can skip that chest spawn cutscene right there if you leave the room, but I couldn't leave in time because it's just basically luck, I think.
Yeah. So Spooky, we're actually never gonna come back here afterwards because these are outside rooms don't have any booze in them. And this is just the same as the normal 90% note advantage. You get bit by the third one to get the skeleton to spawn slightly early. Something you might notice is that the plant actually isn't here, because for some reason if you don't have Chauncey defeat it, the plant doesn't spawn.
Yeah. I'm not sure why they bothered putting that in the game, but it does actually kind of inconvenience some other categories, but not this one where we don't need it.
Yeah. So there's actually a slightly new discovery in Bogmire here. If you hold C-stick right, he spawns closer to you.
Yeah, but if you don't hold directly to the right, he'll likely spawn further away, which is a really small time save, but if you do get it, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna hope I get it. I'm holding directly C right here.
Yeah, so depending on your controller, this might actually just not work for you, which is why this wasn't discovered before. But it is a pretty cool time save. It's only about half a second to a second.
Yeah, but I mean, it's basically completely free, and the risk is pretty low, so I like going for it. Let's see if I got it. Nice.
Yeah, so you can see there, he usually spawns on the right, but now he spawns on the left, and it's closer to you.
Okay, that was a little slow, but I got the one cycle there, so we're good.
Yeah, generally there's only 2 spots he can spawn if you hold C right, so you know where both of them are. You're not going to lose much time, if any at all, really.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, like, if it's like, because like, it's either he spawns to the bottom left or the top right, which makes me think if you're holding like a certain amount away from C right, he spawns at the top right, but I'm not sure. I don't think anybody's looked very deep into how the control stick inputs will determine his spawn, but it's a time save that I got, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, so there are going to be 2 Portrification-izer cutscenes in this run. This one's really short, but the other one's really long.
Yeah, they kind of balance out. Well, it's still definitely a lot faster than having 3 of them, but yeah, these 2, the second one definitely is very long. Luckily, we only have like 4 portrait ghosts here.
Yeah, and then the other one you have like, what, 10?
I think it might be more than that, honestly. It's close. It's definitely around there, though. It's a lot. Because we basically get almost every, like, we get basically almost every required portrait ghost before we fight Booloss, except, like, 2 if you include King Boo. Yeah, it's already over, just like that.
Super quick. Anyway, now that the boos are spawning, we're actually going to start. This is where the routing really starts. You're basically just going to run around and do as little movement as possible between the rooms. And that'll allow you to just get a bunch of them really quickly.
Yeah, the goal is to get 20 boos as fast as possible, and basically just 20 boos that, like, there's not too much wiggle room for which boos we do get, but the order we get them, we have a pretty good amount to work with here. So
yeah.
This is actually the very beginning of basically every vanilla run, and we're doing it about 9 minutes into the run, so it is nice that we don't have to watch this at the start of every run.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty cool time save that isn't in any other category. You can actually pull off this cloth in between the ghost spawning. so you don't have to set up tech skip later. You could technically do that in vanilla, but it wouldn't do anything because the boo isn't there.
Exactly. And the boost switch. That was a good switch though. So I'm opening this chest because when I come back to this room later, if I didn't open it, I'd watch a cutscene of the chest spawning. So in order to skip that, I open it.
Oh yeah. If you don't open a chest, if you go 2 rooms away and then come back, it'll replay the cutscene by zooming in the camera into the chest in the middle.
So there's like a strat that might be faster where you like leave the room and have the ghostways load in as you're in the other room, but I'm not going to bother with that because it might make these doubles a little harder, and if it does save time, it's very little, so I'm not going to bother with that this run, but it is an ADU only strat.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted
Stuff like that just isn't possible on the normal game.
Yeah, that was a little scary.
So, for all of these rooms, you wouldn't normally look for the boo right after you clear them. So there isn't really this isn't really very explored in how you would actually go about reading the boo radar, which is the thing in the bottom right. That's how we know where the boos are. So it's a little bit harder for people to do this when they try and run ADU, usually.
Yeah, but luckily the radar isn't delayed like it is in vanilla. Because usually when you enter these rooms for the first time in vanilla, well, not for the first time, but when you enter the room to get the boo in vanilla, you have to like wait for the radar to be accurate, which luckily is not. Okay, well in this room it is because I messed up, but yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. One thing that's worth mentioning is that in in vanilla, because we don't have Bogmire Key when we're getting these boos, they usually don't go in certain directions. But in this, because we have Bogmire Key, the boos will now try to leave in directions they don't normally leave in, which can be pretty weird sometimes and can definitely cause some issues if you aren't ready for it.
Yeah, they can't normally go up or down, but they can now in this ROM hack.
Yeah.
That bookcase, that book almost just messed you
Yeah, I
up,
was
bro.
a little scared of that. It's unfortunate.
We also grab fire here because you can every time you pull out the flashlight or the vacuum, Luigi does like a little animation and he stops everything he's doing while he's doing that. But if you just spray a little bit of element before you do either one of those things, it skips the animation almost completely.
Yeah, which is useful basically everywhere across the run, so I definitely want to be taking advantage of that when possible.
Yeah, so generally, in both vanilla and the normal game, you take advantage of it by having element as much as possible. Also, another thing you might notice is that this room doesn't lag, because we're using an emulator or Nintendo to actually run this. So this is slightly different compared to the normal game.
Yeah, I'm loading it off a disk on a emulator, which is, it's not an emulator, it's like, it basically loads the game off an ISO, which sounds like an emulator, but it's just kind of weird, but I am running the disk, so it's not, you know, not pirating the game. I'm just using it, I'm running it through this program. Alright, so now here we have these boos, which, I mean, there's a strat I'm going to go for, because there's no reason not to go for it.
So this is boo double.
No RNG.
Yeah, well, you didn't get it, but if that boo spawns in the right chairs, you can actually get 2 boos at once. And it's really hard, but you'll save time with it usually. A lot of the time, though, when you do it, you don't even save, like, even 5 seconds, because it's the way the boos are.
Yeah, so, yeah, you basically make the boo in the north room, go down to this room, and you get both the boos at the same time, which overlaps some of the health, but also skip the text. Normally, you don't really go for it unless you're on a really bad run or you're at a world record level, because this hallway right here is dark, so if they go into here, your run's almost certain to die, but because it's lit up, there is very low risk in going for it, so I opt to go for it basically every run. I maybe should have gone for that later.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to talk about how I drain the boot's health without them moving around all over the place?
So, when a boo is in the middle of the room, or when a boo spawns, it has 15 cackles. And what a cackle is when the boo laughs, pretty much. And whenever he does that, he gets stun locked. And you can take advantage of that by holding L and R at the same time, and then letting go and quickly repressing R every 10 HP or so. And you can just basically stun lock them in the middle of the room for the entirety of their health. Some boos you can't one cycle with very much consistency, because you can only do it 15 times, and some boos have upwards to 300 HP.
Yeah, so it doesn't really work for boos with very high health. I should hopefully one cycle every boo, but there are like it's mainly 2 boos later on that can be a little finicky, and I guess some other boos that are just a little hard to deal with, like Nanaboo, which I mean it has low health, but it's just this. I hope I don't. Okay, this is not going very well.
Yes, it just looks like Sorry is going to 2-cycle bank shot here, but
If I
you can.
I'm gonna give it 1 cycle, but it's basically a 2 cycle. So
Essentially the speed of a 2-cycle a little bit quicker, but you can hit all of those like almost instantly. Something to note though is that you can actually shoot him and it won't hit him sometimes. That's because if he's in the animation of getting hurt from another cue ball, it just won't work.
yeah, those things are RNG. So I didn't really get unlucky. I kind of handled it poorly, but it's really hard to see where you're aiming and shooting.
I'm not exactly sure if the balls have just certain paths or if it's just entirely random.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
But either way, you just have to react to it. And you can usually get a 1 cycle. Though sometimes they just will not be nice to you.
So this is basically kind of standard projection room here, other than the fact that we do not need the glove. I'm gonna be because so you could get Clairvoyant, but not only does she have like a minute and a half of tech smashing, but there's also the fact that you need to go out of your way to get all the Mario items, and some of them are really, really, really far out the way. Like the moon, you probably like the star. I mean, you probably lose like 20 to 30 seconds trying to get that. And that's way too slow, so we're not gonna get the Mario items or the Clairvoyant, which is nice that we don't have to do that.
Yeah, it also saves about a minute and a half of text mashing.
Yeah, that I hate that so much. I don't think anybody likes mashing for a minute and a half, where you actually have to mash fast and you can't like mash a little slow and still not lose time.
So this is where the route kind of really breaks, because you're going to be going into just a bunch of rooms that in the complete wrong order.
Yeah, like I don't even think there's any category where you do this after doing bank shot. Like this is only like ADU. All right, so do you want to talk about the 2 themes?
So there's 2 songs that Melody can play. One's Water and one is Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 is the bottom option and Water's the top option. And Water is a whole 5 frames faster than Super Mario Bros. 3. Not because of what you would think, it's actually because Water plays for a slightly longer amount of time, which is actually a new discovery. We didn't know that before, so we used to think Water saved a second. But Super Mario Bros. 3 gives you 2 text boxes before it actually gives you the options, where Water only gives you 1. And because of that 1 text box, it ends up being 5 frames faster.
That was really annoying luck right there. Not much I could have done.
Another thing Booze can do is, if you're in the room for too long and you don't find him, he'll just switch objects. And it's not RNG,
A cycle.
it's entirely timer based, but it's still wherever the boost switches is RNG, and it's really annoying.
That was really bad.
Another thing is, if you shoot the water in through that roof, it puts out the fire in front of the door, so you can save a little bit of time doing that.
Oh, that's annoying.
And Luigi, he can stumble if he goes from like a higher point on the ground to a lower point really easily.
Yeah, he just gets airborne right there. It's unfortunate.
It's insanely sensitive how much you have to go down. Like it even happens like going up and down ladders. It's really, really weird how they made that
The
happen.
game just doesn't like Luigi being airborne. Which, I mean, it's kind of weird, because he's supposed to be able to jump higher, but in his game he can't even jump.
Luigi was always the more slippery and athletic one, and in this one he's like a robot. I mean, look at him walking. It's literally only his legs. See, another thing that I didn't really explain very well before. If you pull off a cloth right after sucking up a boo, EGAD doesn't call you afterwards. So it saves a little bit of time.
So I actually missed me a room, dude. I'm going to go back and get that, which will be a little detour, but it's nothing too crazy. I think I'll have to get it right after this video.
Do you have... I'd do that.
I have to do it before Colossus, so now's the best time to get it. So yeah, this route is very different, which means it can be sometimes very easy to just like miss a boo, especially this boo, because I have to go really far out of my way.
You also just forgot to go for the tech skip.
I did just forget to go for the tech skip. I wanted to get out of there, dude. I just was going to the door. So yeah, this boo right here, I was supposed to get right after doing mirror warping from Lydia's room, but because the route is very weird and this is very out the way, I just forgot to do it. But I'm very glad I remembered to do it now and not going up to Colossus. I just don't want to have to grab a fire here. That's not good. This is unfortunate.
Yeah, so we need ice for certain rooms, so we actually need to keep it.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to go back into tier room, which is another slight detour.
But it's not that big of a deal. This is not like anything catastrophic like what could happen if I lose one of the superior sitting room boos. But we'll get to that later when I actually do those boos.
Yeah. So essentially we're just walking back up to where we were before.
Yeah, so
basically just pretend he did that
yeah,
earlier.
pretend I got that boo as my 6th boo instead of my 15th boo. And pretend that I only been in this room one time and we're all good.
Pretend he didn't lose like a minute.
Exactly. Pretend none of that happened. It's all a figment of your imagination.
Another thing is if you hold out element, ghosts will spawn in this hallway and won't scare you because they're spawning really far away. Most of the time you would just aim your flashlight up and towards the middle of the room for that.
I got lucky and then I kind of choked there.
So there's a thing called swag balls where like if you could store the vacuum angle with an object and you can just shoot it directly in to Nana, and Saria didn't set that up, but he still got it, and then just continued to miss Nana.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
I was not at all ready for
it's
that.
still...
I'm gonna check this side because why not? I want to get the pearls. That's lucky. I'm not gonna bother dragging him out. So this boo is usually pretty scary, but I got lucky here, so I'm just gonna get him. Alright, so now this is a very unfortunate consequence of needing ice for Safari Room. This is gonna look really slow. We have to walk all the way to Safari Room and then all the way back down. But because we need ice for Safari Room, we have to do it now, which I'm a little depressed about because this feels just awful. But it's this, or we have to go get a really slow other boo. So not really much wiggle room here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. And you can see, sorry, taking out the elements on these ghosts without actually, like, going through that animation.
Oh, that's unfortunate. No, luckily I didn't get hit or anything.
Another thing you noticed there was that he was very clearly in the damage range of that blue twirler. But if you are sucking up a ghost, as in like it's actually going into your vacuum, like you've dealt all the damage, Luigi's completely invincible. Like nothing can hurt him at all. You can't even let go of ghosts. So if you have 2 ghosts in your vacuum, one of them's going into your vacuum and the other one isn't. If you let go of R, he won't let go of them until that one ghost is in the vacuum. And there are a lot of weird quirks like that in this game. And you can use some of them to your advantage, but they're not particularly useful in themselves.
Yeah, so right there, you might have wondered why I didn't get the boo in the dark hallway. In this game, if a boo is in a dark hallway, not only do you do damage to it way slower, but you also cannot actually kill it. You have to kill it in a lit room, so there's absolutely no point in damaging a Boo in a dark room, so I just let him go back in there.
But he can only go back into Safari in that hallway anyway.
So I was safe there. Okay, this is another room that you don't see no out of bounds, because there's a pretty quick Boo in here. So there's actually an ADU exclusive cutscene skip here that I don't know why it happens, but if you do something, what that something is, I don't know if it's RNG or not, but this cutscene just won't play and you can do the room like normal, but unfortunately I didn't get it. I have...
That's a thing?
Yeah, it's only an ADU, which makes me think it has something to do with being able to go to the door before the bars are down. I'm not sure though. I haven't looked into it very extensively, but yeah, you actually can skip that cutscene.
Yeah, so another thing that's interesting, actually, is if you do Sue P and then walk up to Petunia, the room will just clear automatically.
Yeah, that is a very interesting thing.
That's another weird quirk that actually just makes no sense.
Yeah, that was a bad one cycle, but I'll take it.
Yeah, and it's also very easy to two-cycle Petunia because of the floating
Alright, so
dolls.
these boos are the most important that I one cycle in the whole game, because if these boos...
Yeah,
I'll
so
let you explain.
If you lose one of the boos, you lose 40 seconds because they despawn in that hallway above you. And if they despawn, they don't respawn until you reset the game. So you would have to go and save on Toad and then reset the game and then walk all the way back up.
Yeah, so if the boo goes north, if the boo goes to the left or to the right into these rooms, it's fine. But if it leaves into the dark hallway, I have to save and quit.
Yeah, so Soup P Boo can go left, but Sitting Room Boo can only go up.
Alright, I saved the game there because if it happens, I can just reset without needing to go to Toad.
Yeah, so luckily these boos are relatively easy to one cycle, but sometimes you can make a mistake because of the elements in Sitting Room.
Alright, we're out of there.
Yeah, so we don't have to worry about that, luckily. Now we just head into Astra Hall, get our last boo, and then we go into Boolossus.
Yeah, so the last boo, and then we go fight Boolossus, and then there's 5 more boos we have to get before we can fight King Boo, and then we're done. So not all that much time left in the run. Which is it's pretty crazy how just one simple cheat code that lets you walk through locked doors can make the game so much faster and different. Like this is I really have a lot of fun with just how different and unique this is of a way of playing the game.
It's definitely a fun way of playing the game.
It's a nice break from the monotony of Area 1 over and over again. Oh, okay. That was a really weird thing to happen. I'm gonna have to back up like this. Oh, that's unfortunate. So right there, every object in this game has a value that the boo can be, like a certain chance the boo can hide in it, and those top right and top left are way more likely to be in there than the candles, which is why you saw me ignore the candle and go straight there, because the boo is very likely to be in there, but unfortunately I was unlucky. But I also was lucky because he was right in front of me, so kind of worked out.
Another thing is, the boo radar only flashes red if you're facing towards the object. It's not if you're closest to
Yeah,
it.
it depends on your facing direction as well as, you know, your distance to the object, which...
Yeah, so you could theoretically be closest to the object at the boo, and there's another one, like, kind of far away, but not very far away, and it won't flash
Yeah,
red.
but luckily it will flash a very, like, static yellow if you're really close to the object, which is useful. It's like a little different than when there's, like, a boo very far away, so... It's just very... It just takes a lot of skill to learn how to read the boo radar. And even some...
So Boolossus actually gives you 15 boos on itself. So, I mean, you'd have to beat him anyway to get the Area 4 boos, but he gives you 15, which is pretty cool. So you actually need to beat Boolossus to beat the game, because there's only 35 boos in the mansion.
Yeah, unless you want to use glitches, you do have to get Boolossus. I mean, you can get all the bosses without glitches, but yeah, this is a little down. That's a fine recovery. Fine, 1 cycle.
Yeah, so you can just walk to the left of that room. And... Or not room. You can walk to the left of that balcony, and they just bundle up together, and you can get them really easily.
Yeah, so now we're in the final stretch. So like we said earlier, this is another one of these portification cutscenes that we saw about 7, 8 minutes into the game before, but now this is the second one, and this one's going to be significantly longer because we got a bunch of portrait ghosts. We got like 10 or something. I don't know. I'm not going to count. I think we got like 7. I just counted even after saying that. It's a lot more than the last one, so we'll have to watch this cutscene. Alright, so the plan is to get 5 boos and then fight King Boo. There is 2 boos we want to get immediately to our left, and then the last 3 boos will be in the basement. And if we do everything right, we should get the last boo basically right next to King Boo, and then we can walk straight to his fight. And
yeah, so it's just a cleanup period now, pretty much.
Get the 5 boos and then go fight King Boo. So luckily, there's not that much that can go wrong. I guess if the boo goes in the breaker room, that'd be really annoying. Because that room is just not weird. But that won't be too bad, especially if I can get a 2 cycle on them.
So these are just basic, pretty much.
This is the same, except
clear the room, get the boo, go to the next one.
That's gonna be how it's gonna be for the next 5 rooms. And I got unfortunate.
And then we do the final boss.
That's very, very, very rare. Double left side there. You basically never see double left side or right side.
That's not rare.
Well, I don't have it very. Maybe I'm just unlucky then.
I'm pretty sure actually. I get double right side more than I get anything on left side, honestly.
I think I'm thinking of double left side because in the run you don't want double left side, but here you don't want double right side or something. I don't know. Just know that the boo was kind of mean to me. Oh, that's unfortunate. So normally, I don't know why it's getting out so here. That's just time loss and a little risky, but
that's just muscle memory.
Whoa. I did not expect it. Not blocked there.
Okay, so sometimes if you're blocking the boo's path absolutely perfectly, it'll spawn early, which is pretty cool.
It is a nice time save, but like I honestly thought he was gonna run into me and hit me, but he ran away as soon as he spawned, so I got lucky.
There's like literally no way to get that consistently, but like when it does happen, you get like sometimes a second time save. Usually it doesn't actually save any time though, because you have to turn around and get the boo.
It kind of just depends. It's so inconsistent and rare, but it happens. Oh wait, this is not how this would be true, and I'm doing this very poorly.
Just normally you would just vacuum both barrels instantly and then get the double.
Basically, imagine that, but I do it as soon as I enter the room and I don't mess up like I did. I don't need this key. Boo. Oh, okay, so the boo is left side, which isn't even that bad, honestly.
This is actually the only category where left side isn't bad RNG.
It's still slow, but not it's not as bad.
It's still the worst, but there's not really a bad spot in this one, in this category.
I guess top right would be like the worst, but that's not bad. All right, so now we're going into Western. So this is basically the same as No Out of Bounds, except that the boo goes up. We'll have to. It'll be in a lot worse situation because actually it's about the same, but we have to go up there anyway. So we really don't want to drop this guy because if we do, then when we go up to get the pipe room boo, he'll either go down. Hopefully go down. That was not expected. Okay. I don't know how that missed, but whatever. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah, Weston's probably the hardest ghost to one cycle in the whole game.
I feel like I have more trouble with like Soupy personally, but yeah, he's definitely one of the hardest ones. But it's kind of preference. Also, shouts to that knock that you can do that is dumb.
Yeah, so you can actually knock on both of those
Alright.
shelves, even though they're levitated in the ground, and one of them's covered by boxes, and you can still hit it.
Yeah, it's just like the hitbox is just so weird with the objects in this room.
You know, until about, until I told, like, Kai about knocking on the bottom left shelf, I might have been the only person to know that.
Okay, so
Unless Saria knew
I'm
about
gonna go
it.
for triple here because I missed it.
I don't think, there's actually, the fastest strat here, RTA, in, like, a normal run would be to freeze them, but that's slower in this because you don't clear the river.
Yeah, so normally in a run you just freeze them as you're icing the river, but we obviously don't have that because we are not going to be icing the river because we don't need to get that key, so we're just going to get the boo.
Yeah, and then there's one cycle pipe boo, which in my opinion, for RTA viable one cycles, is literally the hardest one in the game.
Yeah, but when he...
Because for some reason I suck.
When he cooperates like this... Oh, I kind of choked that. Alright, well, that's basically best case scenario. This boo can go right, and if he goes right and then right again, it's... Your run's kind of dead.
If the boo goes right, there's like a 50-50 chance that he just goes right or left.
Oh my god.
But it feels like 90-10. For 90 for him going right and 10 for him going left. And if he goes right, it's really bad. It's like a minute
because
time
you have
loss.
to go all the way to breaker room, and then he can go back into the hallway. And then once again, if he goes to the right again, you have to go all the way to breaker. So that's really, really, really bad if that happens. But luckily, he went down, so we didn't have to worry about that at all.
Technically, him going right would be slightly faster in this scenario if he went back left, but that probably wouldn't happen. So now we're in the final boss. Essentially, all this is getting him.
Yeah.
There is a way to one cycle. I highly doubt Saria will go for
No,
it.
I want to make sure I finish underestimate. I don't want to soft lock or anything like that. So I'm just be doing a regular 2 cycle, which is basically you kind of do the boss fight like you would casually, but really, really good, and you also use R pumping.
Yeah, so you just do a certain amount of damage, and then at about 350 HP, you start R pumping. Same on the second cycle, at about like 90, you start R pumping.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna hope that I get a 2 cycle here, and if I do, this run will be about a mid 38, which considering that monster time loss earlier, I'm not that upset about.
I think actually without that, you probably would have PB'd.
I maybe could have PB'd without that, although my PB in this category is very, very bad.
What else is there? Are you gonna do insta?
No, I'm just gonna do it normal.
Okay, well, you can actually shoot these balls up to Bowser's head really early, but Saria's not gonna go for it.
Yeah, because if I do it too early, I can either miss entirely, which would be really slow, or soft block.
You're gonna have to call time, by the way, because I have like a 5-second delay.
Alright, so time is coming up pretty soon. It's gonna be when he enters the vacuum. Assuming I 2 cycle, if I 3 cycle, it'll be a little longer, but like only like 28 seconds.
Yeah, actually, if you get a 2 cycle, normally it's 54 seconds from when the fight starts.
Okay, I wanted to... That was really bad.
It's okay, we can go for it, we can get it.
253 is pretty easy if I don't have that happen again. Alright, so time is probably potentially coming up in like, I don't know, like, what, 10-ish seconds, a little over that. And time.
So GG's, Saria.
On my end, I got a 38-28.
Yeah, not a bad run for a marathon.
No, considering how safe I played it and all the dumb stuff that happened, I'm not upset about that.
Yeah, so there's no counting the money or anything in this game.
No, it's over.
It's just over now.
Yeah, so that was Luigi's Mansion, any percent, no out of bounds, all doors unlocked. I hope you enjoyed the unique run from your everyday Area 1, Area 2, Area 3, Area 4 slugfest.
Yeah, it's a fun category. It's definitely a very nice change of pace compared to the vanilla game.
All right, what a fun cheated run there. It's pretty much a cheat. Up next, we have a very special run, the alpha version of Outer Wilds, which for those who don't know is a space exploration game. The alpha version, marshmallow percent. We're going to be roasting some marshmallows, making some s'mores. Well, if you're going to be making some s'mores, feel free to follow along. But we're going to be roasting and eating some marshmallows in space. We'll be right back.